These look interesting, don't they? Hey everybody, today I'm taking a look at the Crayola Take Note Quick Dry gel pens that are washable and the Crayola Take Note erasable highlighters. I've had a couple people have request this video. I've seen them kind of floating around and I wasn't able to find them at first in my stores. So I went looking, I went on the hunt. I came across this pack of highlighters at Walmart, and they also had that like smaller pack of gel pens, but that wasn't going to be enough for me. I wanted the bigger pack. So I went to Amazon and found the gel pens, and I thought I would take a look at them today. I haven't even opened them yet. Let you know my first impressions of them, what I think, and where I think they might fall on the spectrum of gel pens and highlighters. So without further ado, let's get into it, and we will start by taking a look at the gel pens. So on Amazon, these are $9.99 for a pack of 14 colors. That says that they're washable. That's like their number one thing, kind of like washable Crayola markers. And that's not usually something that I see on pretty much any other gel pens that I've seen. And if you want, I think I'm going to test that. I will grab one of my like hand towels or something and I'll write on it with these Crayolas. I'm about to do some laundry, so I'll throw that in and I will report back on the washability, but we'll take care of that in a little bit. The other claims on these pens is that they have a laydown that is super smooth and streak free. So some of you have seen gel pens where they have like the white line in the middle of them because of how streaky they get. These say that doesn't happen. The clickable format and ergonomic cushion grip makes these colorful gel pens comfortable and convenient to bring around throughout your school or work day. So there's nothing on here about, it says they're comfy, they write smoothly, and they're washable. Nothing about any water resistance, nothing about quick dry time or bleed proof. So we'll still test, we'll look at those things, but it does not claim to do those. And then the color names, on here the color names are pretty hilarious, like Berry Pretty, Orange You Lovely, Party, Denim Jacket. But on Amazon, it actually just gives them actual names like berry, orange, green, light blue, etc. So I'm not sure which names I'm going to put in my swatch page yet. It also says they're safe and non-toxic. Again, that seems very Crayola of them. And then we'll look at the highlighters too. The highlighters come in 6 erasable and vibrant colors. So according to Amazon, these puppies for this pack of 6 are $12.93. I got them for cheaper than that at Walmart. I don't remember how much. It was like $6 or something. According to these guys, the claims are that they're erasable. It's a clear ink tip that instantly erases highlighted color. The chisel tip gives you thick and thin lines, bright colors, and then snap-on caps form a tight seal because no one likes a dry lighter. Ba-doom-tsh. My kids would love the puns on these. Like, fucking puns. I can't. These do not say that they're washable though, so we will not do the washable tip with these, but we will check to see if they are bleed proof, etc. And one of the other things I will check is to see, do these smear these guys, because they should work together, right? Like if it's a highlighter and gel pens that come in the same line, they should work together. So we will test that. One other thing about these gel pens, it says that they have a 0.7 millimeter medium point. These are really pretty pens. I mean, they look like a standard gel pen. Like here's a Papermate Inkjoy. They have kind of a similar look to them, but I will say the Inkjoys are heavier. They have more heft to them. These are kind of light. There is a soft rubber grip and it fits really well in my callus, feels really good. There's a nice clip here that seems to be pretty firm and it has some room to hold papers. Nice satisfying click. Pulled off the little ball off of it. They write pretty smoothly, a little bit of scratchiness, but I don't see any of that streakiness. I'll be able to speak more to that after I do the swatches and I check out all of the colors, but overall it writes pretty smoothly. So let's check and see dry time here. These definitely do not dry quickly. They dry not super long, like these first things I did, they're dry, but like once you draw it down, you got to wait for a few seconds before it's dry, which might mean that this might be a difficult pen for lefties to get the hang of. They are not water resistant, but they did not claim to be. I just thought I would point that out, but I'm curious to see how that works with the highlighting. All right, so I'm writing this down for the highlight test. We're going to take a look at the highlighters in just a second. I hit that with the heat gun to make sure that it was dry before I hit them with the highlighters to give them their best shot. Now I'm going to bust out the erasable highlighters. I'm going to talk about the highlighter in a second, but before I do anything else, I want to see if the highlighter works on top of the dried gel ink. I feel like there might be a tiny bit of smearing there, but not too much. Let's look at some of this other dried ink. Seems like it's a little bit smeary, just a little bit, but we'll do some more testing as we work. So before I get deeper into it, I think I'm gonna take a second and get ready to test the washability of these, and then we'll go into this. It feels like it's a little all over the place, but I think it's because of the different styles of pens. But before I take a closer look at the highlighters, I'm gonna put every single color of these gel pens onto this white bar mop towel. I use these to mop up like the watercolors and things I do, but this is a new one I haven't used yet, so it doesn't have any marks on it, so anything that's on here is coming from these pens. I had to go and pull all the little balls off of the pens, but I'm going to add some color from each of the pens onto this towel. It feels so weird to be drawing on a towel right now. Where I'm going to throw this into the wash with my other towels. I'm just washing it with regular laundry detergent and vinegar instead of fabric softener because that's how I wash my towels. So there's no bleach or anything going into the wash. It's just going to be, and my towels are gray. So to give you an idea, when I come back to finish this video, I will show you this. But until then, I'm going to go back into talking about the pens and the highlighters. So now we're going to look at the highlighters. These look very interesting. They don't look like a pen. They kind of look like a tube. They have two ends. They have the highlighter chisel tip end with a colorful cap, and then the clear end, which is the end meant for erasing, which also has a chisel tip, but it's a clear cap and it says clear ink. So now that this is dried on top of the writing here, I want to see if I can erase on top of the writing. So first we're going to check what's right here, like not on top of any writing, just plain highlighter that's already dried, and see how it erases. Well, it erased. Let's see if it erases on top of writing. And it did, although I don't feel like the ink looks black anymore, but I could just be wondering. Now I wonder, it doesn't say that these are heat activated the way that like the friction pens are, but I'm curious if I run the heat gun over this highlighter ink, is it going to do anything? Because that was one of my issues with the friction, is that because it's heat activated, if your planner or whatever you wrote in gets hot, the ink disappears. So let's find out what happens if I hit it with the heat gun. Looks like nothing. The other thing that it says about these, besides the colors, is that the caps snap on tight so it won't be a dry lighter. So let's take a look. They snap on extremely tightly, so I agree with that. The only other real things that they've said about this are that they're bright colors and that they're erasable, and the best way to check both these and the other pens is to do swatches. So what I'm going to do is do a bullet journal swatch page with the pens and the highlighters. All right, let's take a look at these colors. First of all, what I want to say is that I love the color selection of these things. The color choices are really, really pretty. Like, they're all pretty. I think the only one I'm not a huge fan of is Upbeat. And maybe it's because I thought it was going to be more vibrant. So I kept thinking I was like, somehow it was getting scratchy when it really wasn't. I just was expecting something different. Now, the pens do not have any sort of color or number on them. It's just the barrel matching the color. And for the most part, I feel like it was pretty accurate. I feel like the Berry Pretty and the Upbeat are both a little bit off, but not quite. But the only one I felt was really kind of off was this one, Twilight Sky, which is a blue-black, and it is absolutely gorgeous. But the pen itself looks like it's kind of a dark teal, which is what I was expecting. And it is kind of a really dark teal, but it's almost like a dark teal mixed in with a blue-black. It's a stunning color, but the barrel and the pen don't really match as well. But for the most part, they're okay. They just don't say it on the pen. I mean, most of these names are like kind of ridiculous anyway. They shadow a little bit in the bullet journal, like a little bit in the bullet journal, but they don't bleed through. As for the spooge situation, where the pen puts down a blob of ink right when you start writing or right when you stop writing, for the most part, it's not really a factor. It does happen a little bit as you first use the pen, but even with just some use, it goes away. And like, there's nothing on here that's going to bleed through or anything, so I think that that's fine. Looking at the highlighters, I wanted to make sure to write down the name and then run the heat gun so that they were dry, and then run the highlighter over the ink and then erase it with the two different tips, and then erase on top of the ink so that you can see not only how the highlighter works and erases, but how it erases on top of the pens that go with the highlighters. And for the most part, this works great. The highlighters erase really well. Again, they shadow, but they don't really bleed through. The one issue I would take is that they do erase on top of the ink. However, and I noticed this before, but I wasn't sure it was going to keep happening, and it did happen with every color, except for the yellow for the most part, is that the black ink took on a green cast when you erased the highlighter on top of it. So if you look here, like if you look close enough, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but the word was highlighted and then erased over now is kind of a dark foresty green color instead of black. So I'm actually curious to see what happens with a different color of ink. The red stayed red, so I wonder if that's only a black problem or what. I'm not sure. Point being is, if you're going to write with these pens and then highlight them and then erase the highlighter, it may cause some discoloration in your ink. Now, when it comes to the highlighter colors, they are stunning. I fully agree with the box saying that they are bright colors for when you need to say it loud and proud, except for the coral reef. It's not quite as bright as the other ones. It sort of stands out as the one of these things is not like the other. These three colors though are life, and I almost might want to add these into my mild liner rotation because I prefer my mild liners. Let's put it that way. I like the soft, pretty highlighter colors rather than the bright in your face highlighter colors, but these three are absolutely stunning. There is quite a bit of braille-y ridged situation with the gel pens, which happens with gel pens, but just to give you the heads up that it will leave an indentation, especially if you're heavy-handed. I'm going to test them in the Erin Condren planner really quick. They shadow a little tiny bit, and the gel pen left quite a bit of ridging, but for the most part, looks pretty good. So yeah, I would definitely say these are planner-friendly pens and highlighters. Even with the erasing ink on top, that didn't seem to cause much of a problem. And the feel of it is a little, like you can feel where the highlighter is, but when you feel over where the clear ink is, it actually is smoother, which is really kind of weird to me. I'm going to cut filming off here, and then in about a snap, I will be showing you the results of the wash test and give you my final thoughts on these Crayola pens. So first things first, my nail polish is different, and that's because I'm actually recording the end of this video a few days after I recorded the original part of the video. Reason being is that I washed this situation and then I got busy with other stuff, didn't have a chance to sit back down again. And so, yeah, but you know, I actually have had the chance to use these pens. I've been using them for like grocery lists and shit like that for the last few days. So I even have a little bit more evolved ideas on them. But first, the washing test. So I don't know where I marked this. I mean, that should tell you something. The entire thing is brand new, white. You can't see marks anywhere on it. So I would go as far as to say that because I can't even find, I marked every single color of the gel pens on here and I can't find a single mark on it. Yes, these pens absolutely are washable, which is really cool. One of the things I noticed as I've used these over the course of the last few days, these are not as juicy as like the Pilot G2s. So I like a little bit of a bolder ink, and these feel a little bit more, they're not as inky, which means they don't bleed as much, and which also means that they are great for your planner or whatever. But I like my ink to look super dark and juicy, and pretty much none of these, including the black, has that. They all seem a little bit pale, and my kid actually pointed out that the black doesn't actually look that much like black. Really, really beautiful colors, but they're not super in your face. So if you don't care about that, or you don't like juicy gel pens, then these are perfect for you. I really like the colors. I'm going to keep using these, but they're not going to knock any of my favorite gel pens like the Pilot G2s because they aren't as vibrant, but they are great pens. They're a decent price. They write really well. I think the pens are a big thumbs up from me, especially if you like this color palette. As for the highlighters, they work really, really well. The one caveat is that if you use the black ink with the highlighters, with the exception of the yellow, when you erase over the ink, it turns a little green, which is a little strange. But if you're okay with that, then these are great erasable highlighters. So if I was going to recommend an erasable highlighter, I would go with the Crayola over the Friction any day of the week. I'm going to be continuing to review some brush pens over the next couple of months with other pens as they show up. So if you have pens that I have not reviewed before, and I have extensive pen review playlists, so you can go and check and see if I've made a review on them, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.